it may very well be that the number one threat to gay people is religious people. The countries around the world where homosexuality is legally prohibited, it is because they are countries governed by religious law. So, bad on us. If you were to ask me, who is the priority for learning how to defend yourself? I would say, well, it's the most vulnerable, the most marginalized. I think the rise of queer gun people should not be remarkable to us. It should be like, no kidding, like what took you so long? So long as there are people who think that way in our country and in our world and our society, all of us are in danger. So yeah, we have a responsibility to try and change that way of thinking. But like Cooper said, bad people cannot be brought to the side of goodness by propaganda and argumentation. You can't just say, oh, but let me give you, don't you know what Steve Greenberg said? Right? Those guys don't care about what he said. They are not.
They're an unreachable population. And
unreachable people should be avoided. Stay the hell away from them.
I mean, it does seem like, I hate to say it's the fucking Christians, but it's the fucking Christians.
Well, right. I hate to say that too, because I have many very dear friends who are pastors or Christians, and like, I've done a lot of interfaith work. I'm not anti-Christian, but I do sometimes think, and especially lately, I've thought like the primary problems of our country can be traced to fundamentalist Christians. And honestly, that puts the burden on Christians to, get to work, people.
Well, nobody wants to crap where they sleep. Nobody wants to when you feel like this is the same shit in the gun community. The gun community feels like it's so persecuted that it has an extra aversion to criticizing itself, even though cancers could be growing inside of it, and they are. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Season 2 of the Liberal Gun Owners Lens podcast. I am Miyanovich, and I will be your pilot on an unprecedented ride through the most innovative and forward-thinking analysis of the relationship between humans and guns on planet Earth. The entire nexus between guns and public safety needs a wake-up call, and Liberal Gun Owners is here to rock that party. Are you somebody who thinks you know what's going on with guns and public safety? I don't give a shit. I'm dragging your ass into the future whether you like it or not. It seems to me that we don't have a lot of, well, it looks like the Jews are shooting up the gay clubs again. Like that.
No.
That never, no. You don't have that.
No, we don't.
Oh, there's the Orthodox guys were down. They were outside of the gay parade and they were attacking people, and those Orthodox Jews attacking the gay people. That never happens. It seems to be other people with other beliefs, and probably because of what you're talking about, because it's highly, there's been traditionally more openness or understanding.
Yeah. And look, there are Christian denominations that have done the same thing that conservative Judaism has done, and sure. Liberal Judaism has done. And the whole split in the Methodist Church. I mean, there are going to be two Methodist churches where there once was one, and they split over this issue. So it's not that there are not, progressive Christians who also recognize this, what I've been describing. But Christian fundamentalism is so much more potent and powerful in the States than any other kind of fundamentalisms. And it is, unfortunately, it has made bedfellows with, right-wing nationalism and with cultural hegemony and cruelty and oppression and bigotry. I mean, it's not love your neighbor. I mean, you don't hear these guys preach about love your neighbor anymore. You hear them preach about let's take it back. It's us versus them. And now you're not even thinking religion anymore. Now what you really are is you're just a militant bigot clothed in pseudo Christianity. The Christian Bible doesn't say a lot about homosexuality. I mean, there's a little something, but I mean, if you ask somebody, read the whole Christian Bible and make a list of its priorities. Homosexuality would be like hundreds of items down on the list. But if you go to like some, fundamentalist church and say, make a list of the 10 worst things that are happening in the world, homosexuality, it's like at the top of the list.
Sure.
It's such a corruption and a perversion of even the traditional attitude towards heteronormativity. It's so exaggerated and caricatured. And it's that absolutism. That gay people aren't just sinners, they're perverts, right? What has been perverted is your religious perspective. But it may very well be that the number one threat to gay people is religious people. The countries around the world where homosexuality is legally prohibited, it is because they are countries governed by religious law. So, bad on us. If you were to ask me, who is the priority for learning how to defend yourself? I would say, well, it's the most vulnerable, the most marginalized, right? The truth is, I really don't need to learn self-defense. Very few people are going to attack me. Well, I'm a big guy, right? Like I walk down the street, nobody bothers me, hassles me. Yeah. But, if you look gay, right?
Sure.
Right. Some people in the name of, let me share with you some of, Jesus's love as I, bash your head in. I mean, what the hell is that? Yeah. And so I think the rise of queer gun people should not be remarkable to us. It should be like, no kidding. Like, what took you so long?
Yeah,
right? Like,
that's exactly what
yes, that's correct. You'd better be prepared. And look, while some people say, what happened at the Pulse nightclub makes me think nobody should have guns. All right. We've heard that. I know just as many people who are like, what happened at the Pulse nightclub made me think gay people should have guns. And I do think like there's work to be done to eradicate the bigotry and to undermine it and to walk into inhospitable places and try to have conversations with them about this.
Yeah.
But only if they are open to having the conversation, right? Like I'm not prepared to put the burden of convincing the other guy that they should change their mind on the gays and queers if the others aren't open to listening. No, you don't have a responsibility to save them and change their mind. They have a responsibility to quit being bigots. That's, to go back to our interdependence, so long as there are people who think that way in our country and in our world and our society, all of us are in danger. So yeah, we have a responsibility to try and change that way of thinking. But like Cooper said, bad people cannot be brought to the side of goodness by propaganda and argumentation. You can't just say, but let me give you, don't you know what Steve Greenberg said? Right? Those guys don't care about what he said. They are not.
They're an unreachable population.
And unreachable people should be avoided. Stay the hell away from them.
So you have had, I'm not sure if you're open to talking about this a little bit because it's your personal life, but you have had one of your children come out in the last, from what I gleaned, handful of years. It could have been earlier than that.
A little earlier than that, but more.
Okay.
She's now more of a person in the world, and they're, more open about who they are. Yeah.
Yeah. How did that go? Was it for you and for her?
It's funny. She sometimes says, like, I think I had like the world's easiest coming out. It's like, she told us and we were like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, we're not surprised. She was younger than she is now. It was a ways back. And, And I think we had, some idea about it, but she wasn't, a kid who had lots of, boyfriend, girlfriend type relationships anyway. So it wasn't like we knew, but we were not surprised. And we were even, back then who we are now. And I had already made that shift in my own thinking from how I used to think about things to how I think about them now. I think we were very supportive of her, and we're like, this is normal. What you are describing is normal, and so good for you. And we encouraged her to share with us and to be open with us about things. Our most important thing was, it's not what you say to us, it's that you say to us, that you talk to us and share with us and keep us in your life, because we are your, we're your biggest supporters and we're on your team. And, I talk to my kids about self-defense and about situational awareness and about being, committed to your own well-being enough to fight back and all that kind of stuff. But I don't make that a big deal with her. I'm not like trying to scare her or prioritize this for her, point of view about life. And, but I do talk to them about it. And I say, you have to think about this and, be cautious. Like, there are people out there who want to, do you harm. So you can't pretend like that's not true. They grew up in a world and in a community where bigotry against gay people is like unheard of. It's there's like a gay student group at the high school, but that is not the whole world,
right?
And they're not exposed to a lot of that. And good. Like, I'm not, seeking to, temper them by exposure to bigotry. I figure if you're fortunate, you'll have little of that, but probably you'll have some. So, and I think they also have a, like, I don't need to change everybody in the world. I just need to be me and do my thing. And I think that's a good way to be also. Like, not everybody has to be an activist,
right?
But to be an advocate through being who you are and being public and out and open about it, rather than saying like, this is my thing and everything is going to be about this thing. That's an activist, which is fine. I'm not against that, but not everybody will be. And, not every person can be an activist or should be an activist. Some people should just be advocates by living that way. And we've really tried to encourage her to see her life in that light. And I think she talks about it that way. We're following her lead. But they are still young, and they still have a lot to learn about the world. They're still relatively sheltered in our little blue corner of the world. I don't think they've ever found themselves the only liberal in the room.
Sure.
And I don't know, maybe they won't, but maybe they will. And if they do, I'm hopefully some of our teaching will have rubbed off on them. Both of my kids studied Taekwondo with me, but I'm not sure they really studied it and learned it for self-defense.
Right.
And I'd like to think that if someone grabbed them, they'd punch them in the nose and kick them in the nuts and try to get away.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add to that you think is critical in terms of self-defense or violence? Or, I mean, it does seem like, I hate to say it's the fucking Christians, but it's the fucking Christians. Like, well,
right. I hate to say that too, because I have many very dear friends who are pastors or Christians, and they're like, I've done a lot of interfaith work. I'm not anti-Christian. Let me help you be a better Christian, right? Like, that's fine. But I do sometimes think, and especially lately, I've thought like the primary problems of our country can be traced to fundamentalist Christians. And honestly, that puts the burden on Christians to, get to work, people.
Well, nobody wants to crap where they sleep. Nobody wants to, like, when you feel like this is the same shit in the gun community. The gun community feels like it's so persecuted that it has an extra aversion to criticizing itself, even though cancers could be growing inside of it, and they are. But because there's so much persecution coming from other places, they're not. I don't think that most of the grown men who are attracted to guns, they don't psychologically have an inclination to self-assess anyway. They don't have self-awareness anyway, and it seems to be correlated with gun ownership at a very high level. So they also they're not assessors, self-assessors. They don't want to look and criticize their own group. Most humans don't, but they're persecuted too by the anti-gunners. So it's like the worst fucking place for self-assessment. But I do.
Right. Well, I feel that. Like, I feel like, it's hard for me to publicly talk about some particular terrible event and say, God, isn't this awful? Because I just know, like, there will be a flood of people who are like, well, how come you're that way then? How come you promote guns if you think this is bad? Like, you're
the absolutists again.
Right, the absolutists. And, there's a great Jewish teaching. Maybe this is the only other thing I'll say. And I think this is what I hope religious people will keep in mind, because life is a never-ending journey and path. We never get to the point where, well, we've figured it all out. Humanity is done. That's it. We're perfect. And that's the end of the story. No, that's not how it works. There's a great teaching in the name of Rabbi Tarfon. He was an early 1st, 2nd century scholar. He says, you do not have to finish the work, but you are not free to abandon it. Like, we have work to do. There is repair and healing and learning and growing and human consciousness expanding that has to happen. We have to find a way to embrace the diversity of human sexuality, even in the ways that we think are like freaky and weird and make us uncomfortable. Right? Like, it could be easy to be like, I'm pro-gay, but then when, RuPaul comes into your synagogue, well, that's a little harder. Okay. Like, I understand that. But we do not have to finish the work. Like, it's not on me to make everything better and to perfect it. But I also can't desist from being a part of it. Right? Like, I have to do the work. I have to make it a little better. I have to support my kids and the kids who I impact and teach. I have to share this with my communities. I have to normalize homosexuality and genderqueer behavior and identities where I am and in the people who will listen to me. And will that change the world? It will change it in a little way. And so, my responsibility is not to make everything perfect, but it is not to abandon the work.
That's excellent, man. I always feel like I get free rabbinical spiritual guidance as I'm recording here with you, like I'm cheating, but I always feel like I'm in a higher place after we talk. It feels great.
Thank you so much, Randy. We have a two-way street, you and me.